Hi, this is Southeast Speaks, a work of the Southeast Institute of Biblical Studies. I'm Greg Wanderman, the Director of Development.
And I'm Will Hanstein, the Executive Director.
Today we wanted to share with you one of the early videos that we did as a part of this new series we've started, and it is with Greg Ryan, one of our alumni from the Southeast Institute of Biblical Studies, back when we had the name the East Tennessee School of Preaching and Missions. Will, I'm looking forward to the video today.
Should be very good. He's certainly one of the alumni that we are very proud of, and I know he's a very good personal friend of yours as well, and so we're looking forward to this video.
Yeah, we were here part of the same time together, and Greg, I'm really impressed with him. He's done a great job as youth and family minister at Central in Johnson City, and he has gone on to get his master's degree in Old Testament, and he even helped us with one of our Hebrew classes here when we did for the students, the quarter on Hebrew.
Right. I've heard him speak several times, one of which was at our lectureship here. He's certainly a guy that would be good to get to know, and a guy that's a real credit to this school.
So back when we did this video, it was when COVID had us in a complete lockdown.
Right.
And so we had to learn that Zoom thing that everybody takes for granted now, right?
Right. If we would have done an in-person interview back then, you would have had to be in one corner of the parking lot with the mask on, and he would have had to be in the other corner of the parking lot with the mask on. But so at the time, what we had to do, obviously, was we had to do the interview over Zoom, and that took some getting used to and getting acclimated to.
Yeah, the quality, of course, of the video and the audio isn't as great as some of our later stuff that we were able to do in person, but just a really good interview, and I really enjoyed getting to learn some from Greg about his work and about his time here at Southeast, and some good advice that he gives to youth ministers.
Right. Well, and as with anything new that you're just starting, there's obviously the technical glitches and trying to work those out and get everything flowing just right. And then you want to get enough of these interviews and other things that we're doing in the hopper so that you're not trying to do things last minute so you can get them posted online or put out on the air. And
that's a fair point. I mean, this one is from probably several months ago, but better late than never.
That's right. Like we've said, Greg has done an exceptional work by all accounts over there in Johnson City at Central. And he's certainly a guy that we want to showcase and let people know that that's the quality that we're putting out here at Southeast.
Great. All right. Well, we're looking forward to your comments and your thoughts when you watch this video, and hope that you enjoy it as much as we did.
Hello, and thanks for joining Southeast Speaks, a work of the Southeast Institute of Biblical Studies. Once a week, we meet with students, faculty, alumni, and friends who support the work of training gospel preachers. Enjoy today's discussion. Feel free to comment, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Hi, this is Greg Wanderman with Southeast Speaks, and today I've got Greg Ryan, a graduate of the East Tennessee School of Preaching and Missions.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be on.
Greg and I were classmates, I guess, for part of the time. You were a 2011 grad, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's been a while.
And Greg is the youth and family minister at the Central Church of Christ in Johnson City. So tell us a little bit about your work right now, Greg.
Well, my standard work is just working with the youth, and we try to take a Deuteronomy chapter 6, Deuteronomy 11 approach in incorporating the family into the ministry. And so when I minister to a youth, I also want to minister to the family and kind of get a holistic picture and try to help in that way. So that's how we try to approach it normally. And with this COVID situation, obviously that's changed up ministry a little bit for many of us.
Tell us about what you've been doing during COVID. I mean, you really have a neat program, a daily encouragement. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So when this COVID thing hit, we're blessed to have just excellent elders here. And so we were trying to figure out ways to give that encouragement to our members. And so we started a YouTube channel for the Central Church of Christ. And from there, obviously, we do our live streams and that kind of thing. But at the same time, we wanted to just keep encouraging people throughout this COVID situation. And one of the best ways that we found was to make, shorter, like 5 to 10 minute encouragements and put those up on the YouTube channel. And we've been blessed for that to grow, and people seem to really enjoy it and seem to be really uplifted by it. And so we're just thankful for the opportunity to be able to bless people because the elders have been very proactive in trying to stay on top of keeping everyone encouraged and everyone on the right path.
Tell me about your time at South. Well, I guess then it was East Tennessee School of Preaching and Mission.
Yeah.
Once we left, they said we need to change the name of that school so nobody knows where those guys went.
Completely disassociated.
Right.
I tell you, it was such an incredible experience because, I had done some college before that, and I went there because one of the main draws for me was the fact that I would get to study Bible for 2 years. And, I have complete respect for many of the Bible colleges that are out there, but you still have a lot of extra classes that you have to take that aren't necessarily Bible related. And so I wanted to just completely indulge in the Bible and to be able to just sit at the feet of men that have been studying it for years. And that's exactly what I got. And so, it was just such a blessing to be able to take 2 years out of my life and to be able to actually just dive into the scriptures and study like that.
How would you say, like, since you've gone out into ministry, that you are using something, or that in some way one of the tools in the tool bag that made you appreciate your time at Southeast even more?
Yeah, I think for me, it was the tool was just learning how to study. Just being able to focus on the text first and foremost. And, like I said, I do youth and family ministry and, help with the YouTube channel and that kind of stuff. But if it doesn't start from a biblical perspective and a good, sound biblical foundation, then what's the point? Then you're just talking to teenagers, right? And you're just throwing some content out there on the web.
Nothing wrong with that. I've got one myself.
They're fun to talk with.
I even talk to her.
Yeah, but if it doesn't come from a biblical perspective, a biblical foundation, then it's like, well, what's the point of what we're doing? And so, ETSPM at the time, Siebes now, really helped me to appreciate that worldview. And it just helped to cement that worldview. And it gave me, the tools to study on my own and to continue my own personal and spiritual growth.
What would you say to, a guy who's considering Southeast, and you took the route of youth ministry and family ministry? You've done a great job at Central of really making it more than just a youth ministry and bringing the family in and incorporating all of that. So a guy who's thinking, well, maybe I want to go into youth ministry, so Southeast isn't the right thing, or that's for pulpit ministers only, or something along those lines.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what I was mentioning about, everything has to start with a biblical perspective, whatever ministry you're going into. If somebody wants to go there and do, end up doing van ministry, great, but you need your Bible, right? There's no point of doing anything unless it's to the glory of God. And so I would say that, even if you're not going into full-time ministry, or even if you're not going into ministry period, even, people that just want to teach a Bible class, man, you can't beat, you want to be a stronger member of the local church. You can't beat spending 2 years being just completely focused on the scriptures. Now, again, I know we're focused on making preachers, and that's so important. But really, we're all preachers, right? Whether we're members of the church, whether we're doing youth ministry, youth and family ministry, or preaching from the pulpit, it has to start with the Bible.
All right, we're going to take a quick break now for a special message.
Hello, my name is Will Hanstein, and I'm the Executive Director of the Southeast Institute of Biblical Studies in Knoxville, Tennessee. In Matthew chapter 9, verses 37 and 38, Jesus says, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Therefore beseech the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into his harvest." In these two verses, Jesus communicates a very important concept to us. The problem is not with the amount of people who would be willing to obey the gospel. The problem is with the amount of people who would be willing to go and teach the gospel to them. So let me ask you a very important question. Have you considered becoming a gospel preacher? Here at Southeast, we have a no-cost, in-depth program of Bible study where you will learn how to communicate the gospel more effectively. At the end of your 2 years here, you will be awarded with a Bachelor of Biblical Studies degree, and we will help you find a sound congregation with which you can work. So let me ask you again, not have you considered becoming a gospel preacher, but would you consider becoming a gospel preacher? If so, visit our website at makingpreachers.com and fill out an application there. Come to Southeast, where preachers are made.
And we're back on Southeast Speaks with Greg Ryan, the youth and family minister at Central Church of Christ in Johnson City, Tennessee. You have gone on to get to complete your bachelor's as well as to get a master's degree. What prompted you to do that?
It's about adding to what I had already built and what the foundation that had already been laid at the time East Tennessee, now Siebes. And so after that, I found certain aspects of the Bible, because you can't study the Bible in just 2 years, right? Like to the point where, you feel super comfortable. Well, hopefully we never get to that point where we feel so comfortable with it that we just take it for granted, right? So I wanted to keep digging, and I wanted to keep adding to my tool bag. And so that's why I went on, and my undergrad is in biblical language, which is, I thought, a good foundation. And then my master's in Old Testament. But what Siebes did was it gave me the tools that I needed. And one of the interesting things that sticks out to me is when I was in my undergrad at Faulkner University, I was taking a class, and one of the teachers said, "Have you had prior education before you came to Faulkner?" And I said, "Yeah, I went to, East Tennessee School of Preaching." And he was like, "Well, I could tell by, the knowledge that you have and how you're doing in my class." And so I thought that spoke highly too of the benefit of what I'd received at the school there.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to make that the highlight reel of that. Did Southeast prepare you well?
I think it prepared me well for going and continuing my education. I think it prepared me well for my ministry. But let me say too, if you go in thinking this is going to prepare me for everything, it's not going to do that. Like you and I were just talking yesterday about it, and I said, where was the class on OBS, or where was the class on Zoom, right? There was none. Or the class on YouTube, right? Setting up a YouTube channel and all that. Once you get out, it's all about the principles that you've learned. And that's what it sets you up with, is it sets you up with the tools. It teaches you how to use the hammer and the wrench and all of that. So when you get out there, you can handle the different problems that come up because you have now the tools in your tool bag.
What would you say is the toughest challenge you've faced?
It's interesting. One of the things that I found interesting is just kind of the disconnect between generations. And so, like I said, we try to do an intergenerational, kind of format. One class that I did I guess it was about 2 years ago or so, we did a class on technology, and it was an intergenerational one. So parents were in there, guardians, and the teenagers. And I put up a slide of, what people struggled with as teenagers in the mid-90s versus what they're dealing with now. And the principles were pretty much the same. But the parents were surprised at just how much the teens were having to deal with. And the teenagers learned just as much from the parents. And so it was really a beautiful relationship where they were learning from one another. But the struggle was getting them to maybe see the other perspective, because I think oftentimes, we kind of know what we know.
Love our echo chambers, don't we?
Oh, we do. And even like with my own daughter, I'm thinking, why don't you know this? I know this. Why don't you know this?
Have you not learned
already? Have you not heard? And so, but then I'm like, wait a second. I didn't know this at their age. I was talking with my daughters about the price on, a menu. And I'm like, wait a second. At her age, I wasn't looking at prices on a menu. Why am I pushing that on her? But she has her own struggles that she deals with that I didn't have to deal with. Right. And so one of the things is just getting people to see different perspectives, putting themselves in other people's shoes, is probably one of the biggest things. And at the same time, keeping people motivated and trying to encourage them to stay on the right path, and to stay focused on Jesus, I think is one that's universal. We all might get sidetracked a bit at times, but that's really probably two of the biggest things.
All right, shameless plug time for Southeast, man. Tell people they should come to Southeast and get an education.
It's like a mechanic. It's like a doctor, right? You don't just take somebody with no training and then say, hey, go and do this surgery, right? Or, hey, go replace the catalytic converter on this car, and they've never picked up a wrench. And so
I've had a mechanic who did that once.
You want training, right? And
right.
That's what Southeast provides. It provides that opportunity. If you're going to take it, it provides the opportunity to get the training that you need. And really, we're dealing with something, we're dealing with human souls. We cannot take it lightly. And so we need to know how to go into the ministry field. These are biblical concepts, and they really go back to, the older men teaching the younger men, so that the faith can continue. And so we can continue to do the work of Jesus.
I am thrilled to have you on today. It's been great. And, just to be able to begin this video series with you has been a treat for me. Thank you so much for all of the behind the scenes tech help too.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I'm excited. I think this is a great program that you guys are starting, and I'm looking forward to see who else you have on. And I think it's such a wonderful thing, especially for, just letting people know how good the opportunity is there at Seeds.
Thanks again for joining us today on Southeast Speaks, and we hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, be sure to like, share, and why not subscribe so you can get notified when we have interviews with students, faculty, alumni, and supporters of Southeast. Thank you, and have a blessed day.